All right, so going to throw this out here to the large group, give you a few seconds to think about it and then to jot down some thoughts here in the chat box. How would you describe gun violence? Kind of what comes to mind even when you think about that phrase? So as you think about any words or phrases, feel free to jot those down in the chat box. I'll wait about a minute or so and then read the responses aloud. All right, so how would you all describe gun violence? Kind of what words, phrases, what comes to mind as you think about it? Also important to acknowledge, although we know and looked at earlier, this is an issue that impacts males to a large degree, we don't want to leave out our females. So Black females are nearly 4 times as likely to be victims of gun violence than white females. And Black females between the ages of 15 to 24 are 7 times more likely to be murdered by a gun compared to their white counterparts. So again, just another example when we start to see this is an issue disproportionately impacting certain groups of people. And it also makes me think about, when we look at these numbers and see that this is such a big issue in some communities, especially as we think about the inner city. It's an ongoing, daily, even sometimes, occurrence. Like, why aren't we talking about this issue? And this too is as we think about how, well, it seems like in today's culture and society, so many things are hotly debated. And this is where even where you see politicians try to fight for some gun reform. And we'll talk about this one here, limiting access to people who are at risk. On the other side of the debate, many times what's getting kind of shared is, oh, so these people, they just want to completely do away with anyone's right to own a gun or have access to it. And so just as an example, of how hotly debated topics could be. Also, as we think about income inequality and how that comes into play. Concentrated poverty, again, as we think about areas of concentrated poverty, it kind of goes with some of these other ones on the screen here. Underfunded public housing, underfunded public schools, or looking at some other impacts within the community as a whole, and just thinking about, if this is the impact on the community as a whole, to kids, adults, our older adults, etc., within the community, how does that trickle back down then to the kids? So we could see unemployment and stress. And even just thinking about COVID and what was highlighted there in terms of how COVID has impacted this issue, we have seen folks lose jobs and struggle to find work, etc. But if we think about this unemployment and stress, and so if I'm that adult, if I'm that caregiver or one of the caregivers, either way it may be, and I lost my job, I'm not able to find job. Let's say, for example, I have a criminal record. And so that makes it 1,000 times harder to try and find a job. Whatever that reason may be, whatever that stress I may be carrying, if I